Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're not just looking at words. We are cracking the code behind the language you use every single day. This hidden architecture that somehow turns sounds into actual meaning. So take this simple group of words. You've probably known it your whole life. It's made perfect sense for centuries. But have you ever really stopped to ask, why? Why does this specific order work when another one is just gibberish? I mean, think about it. If we jumble the words, they're all still there, but the meaning completely vanishes. The reason this happens isn't magic. It's all because of a hidden architecture, a set of invisible blueprints our brains use to turn random words into real thoughts. To understand this code, we have to start with the most fundamental piece of the puzzle, the first thing we all learn as kids, the sentence. That's it. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But it's an incredibly powerful rule. The one and only requirement for a bunch of words to be called a sentence is that it has to express a complete thought. You know, like Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. It turns out that every single sentence, I don't care how simple or how complicated, is built from the exact same two-part blueprint. Just think of it like two halves of a coin. You absolutely need both for it to have any value. First, you have to tell us who or what you're talking about. And second, you have to actually say something about them. So that first half is what we call the subject. This is the hero of your sentence, the main character. It's the who or the what the entire idea is built around. And the second half, that's the predicate. The predicate is basically, well, everything else. It's what the hero is doing or what's being said about the hero. It's the action, the description. It's the whole did what part of the story. And this is a really crucial point. The subject doesn't have to be just a single word. In this classic example, the entire phrase, the cackling of geese, acts as the what. That whole thing is our subject. And what did it do? The predicate tells us, saved Rome. Okay, so now that we get the two big halves of a sentence, we can zoom in a little closer and look at the smaller building blocks they're made of, and that brings us to phrases and clauses. A phrase is a useful little fragment. On a wall, it gives us information, right? It makes some sense, but it just kind of leaves us hanging. It's not a complete thought, so it can't be a sentence all by itself. And this slide right here perfectly illustrates the next step up. On the left, of gold is a phrase. It's just a little descriptor for the chain. But on the right, which is made of gold, is a clause. Now, why is that? Because it has its own mini subject, which, and its own mini predicate, is made of gold. It's like a tiny sentence tucked inside a bigger one. All right, we've seen the blueprint for sentences and all their parts. Now it's time to meet the actual workforce, the words themselves, and the specific jobs they do. So you'd think there'd be, hundreds of different types of words, right? But get this. According to traditional grammar, every single word can be sorted by its job. And believe it or not, there are only 8 different jobs a word can have. And here they are. You can think of these as the specialists on our sentence construction crew. Each one has a very, very specific role to play in building meaning. So first up, you've got the core crew. You've got the namers, those are the nouns. You have the doers, the verbs, you've got the describers, the adjectives, and then you have the handy stand-ins, the pronouns, which keep us from having to repeat nouns over and over and over again. Then you've got the rest of the team. The modifiers, or adverbs, they tell us how, when, or where something happened. The relators, or prepositions, show us connections. The connectors, conjunctions, are like the glue that holds everything together. And finally, the exclaimers, the interjections, which let us express sudden feelings, like wow. Okay, so you might be thinking, all right, a noun is a noun, a verb is a verb. But not so fast. This is where the code gets really elegant and honestly kind of cool. A word's part of speech isn't set in stone. It all depends on the job it's doing in that specific sentence. Let's just watch the word after change jobs right before our eyes. In this sentence, what's it doing? It's answering the question, when did they arrive? It's describing the verb, arrived. So its job here is to be an adverb. Okay, now look at this. Same word, totally different job. After isn't telling us when anymore. Instead, it's showing the relationship between their arrival and us. It's connecting a verb to a pronoun, and that is the specific job of a preposition. And for its final trick, here, after is connecting two whole ideas. They arrived and we head left. It's working as a bridge, joining two complete clauses. So what is it? It's a conjunction. One word, three different jobs. So the huge takeaway here is that you can't just look at a word by itself and know what its job is. You have to see it in action, inside the sentence, to really understand the role it's playing. Context is absolutely everything. And there you have it. We've gone on this whole journey, right? From the big picture view of a sentence, down into its two-part structure, into its smaller pieces, and all the way down to the 8 jobs of each individual word. See, understanding this code isn't about getting tied up with a bunch of boring rules. Not at all. It's about empowering you. It's like being handed the architect's blueprints and a master craftsman's toolkit. So the real question is, now that you know how it all works, what are you going to build with it?